Thank you so much, Dennis, for the kind introduction, and President Richard Quarterman, and my colleague and headed to the Democratic National Convention, and our Toastmasters for this evening, Laverne Gaskin, and all of you that have gathered here. I'm excited about being here. I was saying, I said 15 years. It's been about 20 years since I've been in Dublin. And that's quite a time, quite a ways. And I was thinking, Doc, when you were scoring the test, I thought about it, and I said, you know, he mentioned it when I got here. He gave me a tie that has a presidential tie. He gave it before I went to the Democratic National Convention in 2004 in Boston. Still got it. I was going to wear it. But man, being from Southeast Georgia, it's been so hot lately. I just didn't want to do a tie this evening. I really didn't. And I'm excited about here and all the Democrats that I see here that have come together. And let me certainly observe and honor you, Ms. Crow, for your years of service to both this county and this state. It's coincidental that my clerk, Barry Wilkes, who is my dear friend, Barry, we gave Barry the Renee Kemp Award this year at Alberton, just a little bit ago. I'm going to tell Barry I saw you, and I was very impressed, and I'm going to tell him how much better you look than he does. You know, you're always at a quandary. What will you talk about when you've had barbecue, you've messed around, and you've eaten before I got up? That's always tough. I remember I was speaking to in the toughest crowd in the world, for little children, and I had to go to an elementary school to speak to just a crowd of kids, and I was closer, and I was down on the floor, and I just kind of spoke out. I said, I wonder, what shall I speak about? The little boy sitting on the front row said, speak about a minute and sit down. I'm not going to follow his advice, but I'm going to stay as close to it as I can. Since you all have never spoken down here, you all know that I'm a missionary Baptist deacon. I'm chairman of my deacon board. And I've learned of all my years in the Missionary Baptist Church. It was, Phil asked the question, he said, Mama, why does the preacher, he was asking the questions about church, asked about Sunday school, told about Sunday school, asked about ushers, she explained it. And she said, why does the preacher take his watch off? She said, son, that don't mean a thing. You see, in my church, and I'm late president for the Zion Missionary Baptist Association and used to be state president of the New Era. And one of the traditions is that you must say that as I go to my seat and finish, it's 3 goodbyes before you finish the sermon. So I'm going to try and be as brief as I can be this evening. I've been speaking all over the last few months, different party functions. I was in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, last month, the Philip Randolph Institute, consortium of labor unions, and I was in Myrtle Beach 2 weeks ago for the Food Checkers Union. They organize Kroger's and Publix and many nursing homes, etc. And my message has been pretty much the same wherever I've gone to talk to Democrats. These are the times that test a man's soul.
Amen.
These are tough times. We've been through a difficult period. And when I run the numbers, It is absolutely amazing how much of our problems can be attributed to us as Democrats because we just don't get out and vote. In a country, when we look at the world where freedom is so important, and you see lines of people lined up to vote, even in was it Iraq, they colored their fingers and put their thumbprint down, stood in 100-degree heat to exercise a freedom. We come to a country of plenty, and as tough as you think it is, if you got time, we'll talk about tough times. But with all of the abundance of prosperity, we have a 45% turnout. We've had a good election. That's terrible. And then my experience has been that many times those that scream the loudest are the problem. Those that don't even bother to show up and vote. We had a lot of people registered just to vote in 2008. But I submit to you that when you want your road paved,
all right,
or a hole covered up, it's got to be a little closer to you than 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
That's right.
You've got to vote in every election. You've got to participate. And when we think about our students today, I grew up in an era when the school buses, when you got one, was definitely not air conditioned. So about the spring of the year, it would get awful hot. Went to a school that had no air conditioning in the classrooms. Had to prop them open. It's always, we had a long stick. And it was a good job. I used to like to be the stick man. We showed up. Air-conditioned schools now, everything's centralized, and some schools give out iPads. They can't get kids to stay in school. But what did I come to talk to you about tonight? These Johnny-come-latelys who think they have all the answers, who have now enjoy calling themselves Republicans. And regardless of what they might say, some of their grandparents would turn over in their grave to know that they now have raised up a generation of Republicans. Because their grandmother could remember that when there was no electric lights, FDR put lights in every house that wanted them. No telephones. Rural telephone system gave us the ability. And folk were starving. CCC and other programs put people to work who had no hope. And the same outcry came from those who had a plenty then.
That's right.
They accused the country of going to socialism because people needed to be fed. Now, it amazes me that people who are still paying Sears and Roebuck for a shotgun, 2 payments behind on a pickup truck,
My.
trailer right before being repoed, and you call yourself a Republican? Something's wrong with that picture.
Yes.
Something's wrong with it. What's wrong with that picture? Can't even be buried in the same cemetery as a Rockefeller, a Fisk, a Gould.
No.
Wouldn't even let them cut. You have to go in that other section of the cemetery. Newfound Republicans who know nothing about a party that's dealing with those that's got a plenty.
That's right.
Has no desire to help anybody that's unfortunate. Tickles me how folk in that persuasion cry when the flag goes by. And were the first ones to duck the draft. They didn't go to Vietnam. They did. The only reason they went to World War II in some instances because everybody went and nobody could hide. But the minute they got ready to hide, they ducked out. You can't love a country that you aren't prepared to fight for. So don't be no chicken hawk with me. If you were scared to fight, then don't tell me you love that flag so much until it brings tears to your eyes.
Right. That's it.
These same people are now trying to convince each other that a guy who wasn't born with a silver spoon but with a golden crutch can now help those that need the help of this government. Should government do everything for everybody? No, it should not. But there is a responsibility that government has to its citizens.
Come on.
It's a responsibility. And sometimes you're not looking for a handout, but how about a hand up?
Whoop. That's it.
Help me stand up.
That's it. Yes.
I listened to the debate and I listened to what happened with the Affordable Care Act last Thursday before the Supreme Court. I was sitting, I had a terrible cold, had not been out in 3 days. I'm sitting listening to television. The first announcement was incorrect and I thought I was going into double pneumonia. Went straight down. And then when it was corrected, I was jumping around, running around. My wife said, "You well, you can get out of the house." And then I'm an amateur historian. I researched and had been for some time. Look at what was said when Medicare and Medicaid was signed into law in 1965. The same criticisms were leveled by the same type of people, and some of them are older. They're the same people that criticized Medicare, criticized Medicaid. I want you to show me one person who's on Medicare now that will say, "I don't need it, won't take it, don't give me no Medicare."
Yes.
And then they hollered about, "We're taking over the country. We want our country back. This Affordable Care Act will do this and do that." Do you know that when Medicare and Medicaid was signed into law by Lyndon Baines Johnson, 10 southern states led by George Wallace boycotted the act? Do you also know that 8 medical societies boycotted the act? In the 30s, when Franklin Delano Roosevelt gave Social Security as a part of our lifestyle, it was the best thing since sliced bread. All of a sudden, folk who worked for sawmills for almost nothing could have a little bit of money at the age of 65.
Yes. Yes.
Now, if I had $250 million, I wouldn't want you to have nothing either.
Lord.
But everybody hadn't got that kind of money.
No.
And what has happened, and the unfortunate is, those that sit upon the hill has created a class and racial war that got beyond some folk. They stand back and take the spoils. They have convinced some whites that all the evil is with the blacks. Convince some blacks all the evil with the whites. So while you're down here fighting each other, they gathering up and counting the money.
Amen. Amen.
That's a crying shame. They've created this atmosphere.
That's right.
They have tried to say that what this Affordable Care Act will do is just make shiftless people have something. Affordable Care Act is for the working poor.
That's right.
Those who can't afford medical insurance.
That's right.
Find me a mother or father who has a child with a catastrophic illness and they can't get insurance. Let me hear them say it's no good. Find me someone who, during this economic meltdown, has a child that's now out of college, can't find a job, and they're staying with them. They're covered until they're 26 years old. Find me somebody who will criticize it then. Medical care has gone to heaven in a, see, I knew some preachers out here, so to heaven in a hat basket. And the reason it went there is we let the insurance companies and the fat cats rob us blind.
Yes.
Rob us blind.
Yes.
I look at sometimes my bill when I've gone to see my doctor. I went in to see the doctor, charged me $2,200. Don't get me wrong, folks, that's just high, ain't nothing wrong with me. But they went in. And when I looked at Blue Cross Blue Shield, by the time they scratched through and scribbled through, my bill was about $180. That's the